Hi guys, is anyone online? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
If you can hear me, just write one message so that I can, get to know you guys can hear me properly or not. Can someone please confirm? Yeah, I got your message. Okay. Sai yes. So I'll just wait for 2 3 minutes to let people join everyone so that everyone can get to know. We'll wait for just 5 minutes. Okay, then we'll start. Hi guys, my name is Thomas and I am a admission coordinator here. And today I'll be taking this session for you guys. We have already received few questions from your side through the Google form. First, we'll be answering those questions, and then meanwhile you can type in any query you have, and then I'll take those queries. So you guys can see my screen, right? I have the list of questions which you guys have given us. So the first question is the format of the process. Let me give you a brief idea about what will be there on the day. First, there will be a GD of around 10 to 12 people in our panel, and the GD will be around for let's say 10 to 15 minutes. You will be giving a GD topic, and then you have to discuss about it. Uh, then after the GD, there will be PI, and expect that to be around 25 to 30 stretched the PI process, and usually it goes up till 20 to 25 minutes for everyone. And after one thing I missed was the VAT process. VAT will just be the summary of GD. You won't be given any new topic. You just have to summarize whatever is discussed in the GD, and in around 5 minutes, not more than that. They won't give you much time for that. So this is going to be the process for the day. And the next question is, what should I expect in GD topics, and what if I don't know about the topic? The GD topics here in IIT Kharagpur will either be very general, like is Facebook a waste of time, or it will be on current affairs like the JNU case going on. So some slots will get a general topic, and some will get a uh, current affair topic. So it really depends on your luck, whichever slot you are in. Be prepared for both kinds of topics. And for the next part of the question is, what if I don't know about the topic? This actually generally happens with everyone, most of us, that sometimes we don't know about the topic. So my suggestion would be just wait for few people to talk about it, let them streamline the flow, and then get into it. Because if you misinterpret the topic and get into it, so you won't get into trouble, like you the whole group to a new idea, and that won't be good for you. So what I suggest is, if you don't know the topic, just wait for around 2 3 people to speak about it, frame a frame your own thoughts about it, and then pitch it. The next question we have is relative importance of work experience versus acads for PI. Uh, if you have a substantial amount of let's say more than 2 years, then I suggest you that should be your main area of focus. Don't let them get into your academics. Just give them enough information about your work so that they'll ask subsequent questions only from your work and not get into your academic part. There might be few questions for you from the academic part, but they will be very very general, because faculties here are not will not get it very deep into the academic part. They'll just ask you very basic questions, like if you are from electronics background, they might ask you about transistors and all that stuff. And if you are from CS, they might ask you about data structure, but they don't go very much deep into it. So what I suggest to you guys is, if you have workx, just concentrate on your workx, give them detailed information, what work you are doing, what outstanding things you are doing, and your achievements in your workx. Give them everything you have, and don't let them go into your academic parts. But if you are a fresher, I suggest you to have a bit more understanding of your subjects. At least prepare 2 3 subjects very good, and tell them that these are your favorite subjects, and they might ask you from those subjects if you're lucky. But if you're a fresher, I'll suggest you to be prepared with your BTech subjects a bit more than the workx guys. And the next question is, what type of questions do you expect in interviews, especially from maths and engineering? I guess it's pretty much a myth that IIT KGP asks too much about maths and engineering questions. We don't have like this here. I know few IITs ask about BTech subjects, are much like IIT Kanpur and all those, but in KGP, don't expect too much questions. Only thing you can expect here is some questions from statistics. Why I'm telling you this? Because statistics has a lot of applications in MBA, and faculties who teaches us really knows about statistics very well. So they might try to test you on whatever knowledge you have in statistics and how you can apply in the forthcoming years in MBA and in future. So be ready with the statistics part. If I tell you very briefly what you can prepare in statistics is be prepared with the central tendency, mean, median, mode, and all those stuffs. A bit about regression, if you can have an idea about just a very very basic things about statistics, which you have already studied in class 12th and might be in your BTech subjects. So have really really basic idea about statistics, and you can expect some questions, at least from some of you. There will be some questions from statistics. Mathematic question, I don't think they'll be asking you. If ever they'll ask you just the CAT basics. Uh, Whatever you have studied for the CAT, that is more than enough. Nothing more than that is required in maths. And for engineering, I have already told you, if you have WorkX, just have a very basic idea about the subjects you have studied in your BTech and have, some idea about transistors and all those stuffs. That is more than enough for you guys. If you have a substantial amount of WorkX, let's say more than 18 months, if you have, that is more than enough. But if you're a fresher, you really have to concentrate on your engineering part, because you don't have much other things to tell about. So have an idea about the engineering subjects. And one more very important thing is about your BTech project. If you're a fresher, be very very thorough with your BTech project, whatever you have done, and expect a lot of questions on that. You might get a lot of questions on your BTech project. But if you have work experience, you don't have to worry too much about that. And as I suggested, just focus on your work experience. The next question we got is how many photocopies of original documents is required, and what are the topics a person with 30 months of work ex should expect in PI? Uh, Photocopies, you can just have two sets is more than enough. I don't think they'll be taking copies from you at that point, but for the safer side, just carry two copies of every original, and I'll just name few documents which you'll need on that day. That will be your 10th mark sheet, your 12th mark sheet, and your BTech mark sheets, and all the passing certificates, and your WorkX proof. WorkX proof can be either salary slips also along with the joining letter. If you don't have the experience certificate right now, you can go ahead with that. And apart from that, your CAT scorecard. That is enough for the documents part. You just need those documents and have at least two copies of both. Can you guys just see my screen, or is it frozen? Can some of you can type if you can follow the screen, the slides which I am sharing? Hello, you guys can hear me, right? Is there any technical issue, or should I go ahead? The next question we have is the PI tips. Uh, for PI tips, I'll suggest you be very, very thorough with your introduction, because this is the very first question which you might face. Be very prepared with that question. They expect you to give a very prepared answer, and if you'll just go and tell any random shits, you might get into trouble, and they'll have a plethora of questions to go about it. So give them very very specific question set which you want them to ask from you. This you can drive right from your introduction part. Give them what you have done and you are confident about it, give them the questions which you want them to ask you guys. So this is your really important part for the PI. Be very thorough with your introduction. Just prepare and write everything you want them to ask. The next part about the PI is your why MBA part. Again, very important. You might get very much grilled on that question if you're not prepared for it. For WorkX guys, it will be a slight easier for you to convince them about your why MBA part. But for freshers, I think you really have to come up with really good ideas about why you are going for an MBA just after your BTech. So have really good points with it. In a while, I'll just share why MBA part. I've already shared about the introduction part on the Facebook group. The tips you can take it from that document. For the why MBA part, I'll share in a while what all options you have. You can give. You can frame about your answer about it, and I'll share by tomorrow, most probably. And the next important part in your PI is about your strengths and weakness. You should be very clear about what are your strengths and weakness, and you don't have to be very truthful here. You just have to make up what they want to hear. Just make up those. This will be my suggestion for you guys. That don't give them that I am very confident and all those stuff. If you are saying you're confident, you just have to back it up with the examples from real life. Don't just say I'm confident and they'll agree to that. Give real life examples from your WorkX or from your anything. If you are fresher, just give it from your BTech project. I have performed very well in a team and how I took up the project and take responsibilities. You just have to give them examples from your real life. Apart from the strength and weakness, the next part is the hobbies part. This is really important part in an MBA interview. They are just checking what you guys do in your leisure time. If you say like I read a lot of books, then at least have something to back it up. You need to know about anything you utter there. If you are telling about a book, a name of the book or a particular author, have a substantial amount of data to back it up. Because these guys also are very well read, so you might be grilled on that. If you are a voracious reader, so have some data to back it up. And apart from it, if you have any certifications, any business certifications especially like Six Sigma and all, then do mention those in these interviews, because this really catches their attention and you'll get a lot of questions. And if you are very thorough with it, you can drive the interview right from there. So this is very important stuff. If you have any such kind of certifications, so do mention that, and specifically if they are related to business, related to something like MBA. These are the PI tips which I have for you guys. And the next question is, what is the weightage given to various components, GDPI, etc., for the final selection? GDPI is now 60% this year, and for CAT we have 20% weightage, and rest of the 20% is for the profile. If you're already shortlisted, the CAT score and the profile part is really minimized now, only to 40%. Now you have 60% in your hands. You really need to crack the GDPI in order to get into IIT KGP. It's very important, and even if you are right on the brink, you can easily make it here if you nail the GDPI. So understand the importance of GDPI in IIT KGP and you'll be through. And one more very interesting question coming up is, why to prefer VGSOM over IIMs, and what is VAT all about? And if this question is referring to old IIMs, then I don't think we can have a very good comparison, because those are 30-40-year-old colleges and VGSOM is just 20 years old. So it's better not to compare VGSOM with the old IIMs. And if this question was referring to new IIMs, then yes, I can answer few points that why you should prefer VGSOM or new IIMs. New IIMs are just 5 to 6 or 7 years old, and VGSOM is now reaching 25. We have a lot of alumni base, and our alumni have worked across the industries and are really at good leadership positions. So because of that, we'll get a lot of advantage over the new IIMs, which are just building up. Next, the advantage we have is about our infrastructure and the campus we have. You guys also know about how what is the situation of new IIMs and how they are still struggling with their infrastructure and all those stuff. But when it comes to IIT KGP, you know about the IIT infrastructure and how huge campuses and well-equipped campuses we have. So that's a really great advantage over here. And also, we are really free to choose our electives here. The degree which we'll be getting is a general MBA, but we can choose electives right from finance to marketing to operations to IT. So you get a lot of freedom here to choose your electives and specialize even in one or a combination of two or three, anything you like. So that's a bit of freedom here. That is very huge advantage here in VGSO. And even if I talk about the placements here, since it's a pretty old college, it's about 20 to 23 years old. So we have a lot of companies coming up, and because of the smaller batch strength, we really get an advantage in the finals as well as the summer placement. You can also relate it to the colleges which have around 2 to 300 people in their batches and how tough competition there is. When you compare it to Vigisom, we usually have a batch of around 100, and almost everyone gets a really good package. So it's a huge advantage for us. That's it for the comparison part. The next question we have here is, do IIT KGP prefer engineers and also if they are freshers or laterals? It's not like they prefer engineers because most of the people who apply in IIT KGP are engineers. So it's not like they are preferring it because they are getting a huge pool of engineers in their applications. Therefore, they are selecting more number of engineers. But even if you are not an engineer, you definitely have an edge here because you will be from a different background and they'll definitely prefer you over any engineer. So it's not like they only prefer engineers. And also if they are freshers or laterals, let me tell you, if you are already shortlisted for the interview, they have already seen your profile, and now it really doesn't matter if you perform well in the interview. Even if you are a fresher or a work ex, they'll select you. It's not like now they are going to think about, oh, the guy is a fresher and I don't have to take him. That factor has been removed now. If you are shortlisted, then you stand an equal chance with everyone here. Okay, the next question is USP of IIT KGP MBA course. As I've already mentioned in the previous question that VGSOM gives a general MBA degree and you are really free to choose any kind of elective you want. And even you can choose electives from various departments here in IIT KGP, and you really get the advantage of the whole IIT environment here. So the flexibility here in the MBA course, I think it's the USP. And the next question is, what are the platforms provided for the entrepreneurship? Okay, for this question, we have a club called eCell in VGSOM, which is very much active and which is into the entrepreneurship. And it basically, gets touch with the industries and get live projects for us. And in the meanwhile, they also learn the how the entrepreneurship things work. And on a bigger picture, in IIT KGP, we have a environment called STEP. It's basically technology park kind of stuffs which help entrepreneurs to build their business. If you have a business plan, you can present it to the faculties there. They'll help you with it, and then they'll also help you to get fundings for it. So if you are into entrepreneurship, IITs are the best place to be, and similar is the case with IIT KGP. We really have a very good infrastructure and environment for the entrepreneurship side. Okay, these were the questions which we got from your side. I think I have answered most of them. If someone has something related to ask from those questions, you can always, ping your questions in the right window. And now I'll come to the questions which you guys have asked in during these sessions. Okay, the first question is from Sujata. Do IIT KGP focus more on technical questions even for students having work experience? I think Sujata, I've already answered that. That if you have work experience and if you are driving them away from your academic part, you can negate that part. You won't be getting questions from your academic part. I'll just give you my example. Last year, I had some 28 months of experience from TCS, and I completely drive the interview away from my academic part. There was not a single question asked from me, and it really depends on you how you start your interview, how you given your introduction and your why MBA part. If you are really confident and given a very crisp answer, they won't get you into that. But if you don't give them subsequent questions to ask from your introduction and why MBA part, then it will be really tough luck for you if they get into your academics part. But for a safer side, just prepare very few basics from your academics and have an idea about what subjects you have studied and what basic things it covers. Not very deep into it. They won't ask you to solve any numerical or uh, have some derivation solved, nothing like that. They will ask you very very basic question, if at all they ask you, from an experienced guy. But if you're a fresher, have some more in-depth knowledge about your subjects, because they don't have much to ask about your work kicks, and you don't have a work kick, so they don't have much questions about it. So just have a basic idea about your subjects, and your final BTech project is very important for you guys, because you can expect few questions from your BTech project. The next question is from Sri Charan, and how much weightage will be given to CAT score? I've already answered that question. It will be 20%. 20% for your profile, 20% for your CAT score, and 60% is GDPI. What is the convert ratio from Pallavi? Pallavi, basically, we don't have the exact numbers, how many they have shortlisted, but you can expect it on the lines of 1 is to 12. This will be the ratio. Last time also, this was the ratio, and expected to on the similar lines also. This time also, it will be around 1 is to 12 only. Next question is from Chinmay, and he asked, if we are working for a financial firm, what type of questions can we expect in the interview? What was the methodology deployed for calculating the composite score? Okay, Chinmay, basically, if you are from a financial firm, then they expect you to carry on your MBA, something related to financial subjects only. So be prepared for some idea what subjects are taught in the MBA, and what skill you will learn from by doing the MBA, and what skill you currently lack, and that you will be gaining in the MBA. So be prepared for those questions. And technical questions, I don't think they'll ask you much, but have good idea about what current affairs are going on in the field of finance and business world, what new businesses are coming, how they are growing, everything that stuff you should know. And also have some idea about the stock market, BSE, Sensex, how things work there. Have a really good idea about it. If you already have a financial background, you can expect such questions. And methodology deployed for calculating the composite score, we don't have the numbers with us right now, but they have given weightage to everything like work experience, your CAT score, your 10 percentage, 12 percentage, and BTech. We don't have the correct number, how much weightage they have given to each parameter, but these are the parameters which were considered for calculating the composite score. And the next question we have from Sai Kiran is, how should we write VAT as bullet points or paragraphs? Sai, there isn't a very fixed format for that. You can use anything you want to use. I've already told you that you will be given around 5 to 10 minutes, maximum 5 to 7 minutes to write VAT. So you have to write as much you gather your thoughts and just write it out. It's not a very huge parameter in your selection, but you never know. So just write as much as you can in those 5 minutes. It doesn't matter if you are writing in bullets or paragraphs. It really doesn't matter. Okay, the next question is from Nitin. If in why MBA answer I mentioned that I want to do MBA in operations, then what kind of questions can I expect? Okay, so if Nitin, if you already have a background in operations, then expect some questions from your work experience, what work you were doing, what skills you have, and an MBA, and why in operations. These are the questions you can expect in your why MBA part. they won't go into very much technical, but I suggest you to read one book called Operations Management by Chopra and Mandal. Just read first three chapters of that book, and you'll get to know the basic idea about what operations is, and if they'll ask you very basic question, you will easily be able to answer those questions. So I suggest you to read that book. If you want me to give you the link, you can always ping me on Facebook. Okay. The next question we have is 2016 placements and how are they and completed. Okay, for that question, I'll just answer that the placement report for this year will be out very soon. So you'll get to know about the placements, how were they, and what numbers basically we have this year. This year, the placement scene was very, very good. I can assure you that. But for the official numbers, just wait for some time and you'll get to know which companies visited our campus and what is the average and the maximum package. Just wait for a few days. I think they'll be out very soon. Next question from Amar is any tips to grab opportunity to talk in GD? Okay, actually, this is a very good question. I think it's very important to get it to know when to get into a GD. I suggest you to be in the first three to talk about it because the attention of the interviewer is at max when you are talking at the in the beginning or at the end. I suggest you to be in the first three to talk about the topic and give really good examples to back your statements. Have a really clear thought about what are the things you are going to say and have very good examples to back it up. If you're giving the examples, it really catches the attention of the interviewer and your job is done, really done. So if you are not able to get into the GD part and people are dominating around you, just wait when a person is speaking and just wait for the moment when his voice just slows down. Then you can easily pitch in and deliver your point. This is the time which you can utilize and get into the GD. And I really suggest you don't get into fish market and really perform in a professional manner, because these are the things which they notice most of the times, and you can make or break your chances based on that. So really don't get into arguments, don't get into a fish market. Just pitch in your points and your job is done. And I don't suggest you to pitch in more than 2 or 3 times. If you're doing that, it really creates a very negative impact on the interviewer. So don't just go beyond 2 or 3 times. Just come up with 2 3 good points and you are through. Okay, how is the common merit rank calculated by Apurv? We are not sure that this year we are going to follow the same pattern which we were using last year. So let the official confirmation come, and I'll tell you how the things work here. This year we are not sure if we are going with the CMR system or not. So I'll just comment on that whenever I get the official confirmation. The next question we have is how much time will we get for introduction part? It really depends on you how much time you get. If you start with a very interesting conversation, so they won't really stop you for about, let's say, 120 seconds or so. But if you tell them the really cliche stuffs which everyone tells, they might interrupt you in around 70 to 80 seconds. So be very, very, that's what I highlighted in the beginning also, that your introduction part is really, really important and you really have to prepare very well for it. An ideal introduction will be for around 90 seconds. That is the ideal time. If you go beyond that, you might have a chance to get interrupted, and that is really not good, creating good impression on the interviewer. So I'll suggest you to frame your introduction part to around 90 seconds. That is the ideal time. What all things you have to include in your introduction, I've already shared a document. You can refer that and refine your own introduction. Okay, the next question is there a possibility of converting a call at 94 percentile with substantial amount of work X? By Sujata. What I can tell you about that is, if you got a call, if you already got a call, then these factors are really, minimized to 40%. Your main focus should be now on GDPI. If you crack the GDPI with, flying colors, nobody can stop you from coming here. This is what I suggest. You only have to now focus on your GDPI, and that part, if they like you in the interview, then these factors are of no use. I'll give you one more example. Last time the cutoff was around 95, and my own percentile was about 95.2, and I was easily able to clear the interview. And right in the first slot, I was able to clear the interview, and my name was there in the first place. So it's nothing like you, if you don't have good percentile or not good accounts, you cannot make it. The GDPI really matters here, and everyone now stands a equal chance of converting or not converting the call now. How many strengths and weaknesses they ask? Actually, they don't, you know, tell you to tell your three weaknesses or three strengths. It's not going to be anything like that. They'll just ask you about what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. The numbers really don't matter here. So I don't think they'll ask you about tell me your five strengths. This is not going to be the case. Be prepared with good research about it very well, and give good strengths and weaknesses that you can answer the subsequent questions about them. Okay, one more question we have is, I heard that PI panel asked questions related to maths. Is that true? I think I have already covered in that PPT that they won't ask you about maths. They'll, if at all you are unlucky, they'll ask you about statistics. You won't get questions about maths in IIT KGP. If at all they'll ask you cat level. That's it. Or any riddle if they ask you. Not more than that. What all things are going to be there? As I've already covered that there will be a GD, 10 to 12 minute GD with around 10 members in your panel. And then it will be followed by a VAT, which will be of around 5 to 7 minutes. And you just have to summarize whatever you guys have discussed in the GD. Then there will be PI. PI will be surely for about 20 minutes. Everyone, generally night. You'll generally have two faculties in your panel and one alumni. This is the trend we had last year, so it will be on similar lines this year also. Fine. One more question we have is, last year IIT HRM and VGSOM was separate. I heard from everyone. Uh, Actually, MHRM and VGSOM are different departments here in VGSOM. We both have very different process, and they are not related to each other in any case. So they are completely different. Okay. Next question is, can you please tell what was the waitlist movement for last year? I think it will be more appropriate to comment on that after the interviews. I don't think it is of much use as of now. You just have to concentrate on your GDPI, and then after the results came, we can discuss about it. As of now, I don't think it's importance because your interviews are on the line, so you should concentrate on your interviews as of now. In what do we have to summarize our points or points of entire group? You have to summarize the points of the group, um, ho- which points are discussed by the groups, and you just have to summarize by the group, not your points and what is your stand on that. You don't have to write that. Whatever the group has reached a consensus or not, or what points were discussed during the discussion, you just have to summarize those. Okay. There was one more question. Can you share any file for basic questions in electronics? I really have to check on that if I have anything like that. I'll share in our, on the group itself. If I find something related material for that, I'll share. I'll definitely share. What is the tentative dates for results, and what does the class? When does the classes start? Results will be, I guess, around last week of April. They should be out, and the classes here starts generally around 13, 14 July, because we have the same session with the IIT guys. So IIT KGP follows that only. So we'll be having our classes session start by in the July itself, second week of July most probably. Okay, there was one more question. Is there any preference given to female candidates? Okay, I don't think so. Any preference is given to female candidates, and they're treated as on equal grounds. If you are shortlisted, then you really have to perform very well in the GDPI part, and I don't think any preference will be given to any kind of female candidate. So that is really out of picture here. Actually, an interesting question to ask, but I don't think they give any preference or any extra points for that. If they at all consider, they have already given in the shortlisting part. Now in the GDPR part, there won't be any extra points for that. Any more questions you have? I think I've covered most of the questions which you guys have asked. One more thing I want to share is be very thorough with the current affairs which are happening around the world and in India too. Uh, Generally, the alums which come for the interview ask about current affairs and your opinions about them. Not you just don't have to know the facts. You must have an opinion on what's your stand on that current affair. So it's really important to be prepared with that, because you might have a 5 to 10 minutes discussion with the panel about any current affairs like the JNU case or something like that. So be very prepared with that, and expect current affairs questions from everyone. So be very thorough with this. If you guys have any more questions, you can type in. We still have 10 minutes. Okay. One more question is for someone with work ex in e-commerce sector, what kind of questions they might ask? E-commerce is really currently a very booming industry, so everyone has his opinions about it. So expect a lot of questions: how e-commerce companies make money, and will the bubble be burst anytime? These kind of questions you can expect, and be very thorough with their revenue models and all those stuffs, and you can easily relate why MBA part with that. So expect some subsequent questions on that also. So it will be basically very general and about your work ex only. Especially they won't ask you about e-commerce, but have a basic idea about your work ex, the current trends in the e-commerce industries, and how it is going to be in the future. Your opinions really matters there. Okay, we have one more question is, I want to drive my career in consulting. What are the various companies that visit campus in that field? Okay, let me tell you, Ankur, consulting is really, really good at IIT KGP, so you don't have to worry about it. It's really the hub for consulting. So all the big companies visits our campus, and about which companies which visited this year, you will get to know in the placement report. which will be out very soon. So, but I can assure you about the scene of placements here in consulting. It's really good. What is the criteria to get financial assistance in VGStorm? What certificates do we need? Nitin, you for answering that question, I think it makes sense if we can, comment on that after the interviews and all those stuff, because every year there are slight changes in the process. So these guys give us official confirmations after the interview itself. So I'll share whatever information we have after the interviews. You'll get to know about it. The next question is, if I work in a financial firm and want to do MBA in marketing, will they expect me to do MBA from finance and instead of marketing? As I was talking about it earlier, that here in IIT KGP, you are really free to choose your elective. It's not like if you are from a financial firm, you cannot do an MBA in marketing. And the degree is generally going to be a very general. It's the degree is going to be general MBA, and you can choose electives from 2 3 fields also. Like you want to specialize in marketing and also take subjects in operations. So you have a flavor of both. That is the flexibility we have here. And during the interviews, I think you it will be a bit difficult for you to convince the panel that you have a financial background and you want to do marketing, you want to do MBA in marketing. So you can handle that question as per finance also. You can say like, I have a financial background and I want to do MBA in finance, and then just come here and take subjects from marketing. It doesn't really matters. So if you can convince them right at that point, it's well and good. If you cannot, just play safe and say, I'll specialize in finance, and then just come here and take subjects from anything, because they won't. It's not like you are getting specialized in one field. It's like you can take any combination of subjects and specialize in maybe 2 or 3 domains also. So it really doesn't matter. Um, do you guys have any more questions which I can answer, or any clarifications you need? Okay, we have one more questions. What type of question can be asked for a person with work ex in aeronautical sector? Okay, Manisha. Actually, it will be advantage for you if you have such a diverse work ex. They'll not ask you technical questions. They'll basically be interested in what work you are doing, and what extra you have achieved there. They'll be interested in that only, and you most probably will not get any questions from your bachelor's. So it will be on the similar lines for everyone else, and but I can tell you that it will be advantage for you because of your diverse background. If I have missed someone's question, you can comment in, and then I can answer. I think I have answered most of the questions. So I think there are no more questions. Okay, we have one more question from Chinmay. Do investment banks visit the campus for recruitment? Actually, to be honest, investment banks are really into IM ABC only. So don't expect too much from any of the colleges, even from new IMs or IITs or or colleges on the investment banking is not really great at technical institutes like ours and all those. But you will get some finance companies here, some roles in finance, but not the investment banks. I think I've answered your question, right? So if nobody has any more questions, we can wrap it up. You guys feel free to reach out to me if you have any more questions or queries, or you need any help in your preparation. You can always ping to me on Facebook, or you can contact me on my phone. My number is on the website. If you guys need any kind of help, I'll be ready to help. I'll be happy to help. Okay, thank you guys for joining. Hopefully, I have answered few questions and you have got some tips what you can do on the interview day. And I think I've answered most of the questions here. Thank you guys for joining. Best of luck for your interview.